Good morning and welcome to Sunday service. I'm Georgiana Schreier, your celebration assistant. Our speaker today is our own beloved transition minister, Rev Sandra Butler. And today she is providing this inspiring Sunday service message titled A New Heaven and a New Earth. Can't wait. And our guest musician is Greg Shupe. Greg was our music director for 7 years and brings a wealth of new thought songs to his performances.
The song is called Something Wonderful by a terrific New Thought songwriter, Harold Payne. Easy to sing along with at home if you choose. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. All is love inside. We can let it shine. All is love inside. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful. Song by Jana Stanfield and Jimmy Scott. Jana's a terrific New Thought songwriter and speaker. What would I do if I knew that I could not fail? If I believed, would the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? And what would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like a mighty oak sleeps in the heart of the sea, are there miracles in you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I refused to listen to the voice of fear, would the voice of courage whisper in my ear? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where true believers dare to tread. Never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What will I do today if I were brave? What will I do today? I am brave, what will I do today? I am brave.
Good morning to you all. Some of you know me as Reverend Sandy, and I've been with you some time in many different ways. And some of you don't know me at all, and I'm still Reverend Sandy. And I'm very glad about that wonderful song that you sang, Greg, and how you sang it, because it's so precious to me. It's an old one. It's been around certainly as long as I have been, which is a while. And it always brings a new joy to me, because it asks the question, what would I do today if I were brave? And then it switches it down as we work through the song, and it says, what would I do today? I am brave. And that is the essence, if you will, of what we're going to co-create today. Because when we're co-creating with God and with each other, yes, with each other and with God, we are making and creating something larger than we are, larger than God as we know God is. Yeah, take that in, wrap your brain around that, because some of us like to take God, or what you call God, and put that in a box. And it doesn't move. It may expand from time to time because you expand from time to time. Your consciousness gets a nudge. You know about those nudges. We all have them. And sometimes the nudge is kind of like a pesky fly. Go away. I can't do that. I just don't have the money. I don't want to do that. That's too hard. Or I don't have the time. That's always a good one. You would think that we all worked at some place very, very official with the way we deal with time. Time is one of the boxes we put ourselves and spirit into, because we always don't allow for the expansion of what we call many times the greater good. Now, here's something that I always thought is very interesting, and I have to remind myself of that. This that I'm going to ask you. We're hardwired, all of us, to come into this world asking, why am I here? Who are we? And you say, oh, I'm not certain about that. Well, guess what? It's scientific proof. The human being comes in asking questions. Why am I here? And the human being, watch any child, any little child will tell you what all about curiosity. And if you have trouble following that concept, follow the child and you'll learn all about curiosity or you'll relearn it. It's a wonderful gift, and it's a gift of spirit, and we all have it. And some of the questions that we continue to ask as we mature, grow older are not only who are we, where are we? Okay, why are we here? Let me assure you, you are here on purpose for a purpose. And now, for those of you that start to roll down those doors and those window blinds and start closing them, yes, you are. And you may say, hey, I don't know that. I don't have a purpose, you know. Or the common one among most of us humans is we confuse our everyday human purpose and all that goes into that word purpose with our spiritual purpose. And also, we spend a whole lot of time honing in on that human purpose, and the spiritual purpose remains a nudge. We don't give it much more than that, except to wait for it to nudge. Now, we have, I call it spiritual work. You know that. You do the spiritual work of this community. And I'm very grateful to know and be involved in the spiritual work that you are doing. As individuals, we also have spiritual work. Now, I refer to it as work, and it's really not. It's joy. It's absolute joy to find out and know your spiritual purpose and not get it confused with your human purpose, which very often also aligns that human purpose with what we do for a living, how much money we make, how many children we have. What is your career? How often have you been to a party and someone says, so what do you do? Well, now in my old age, I've gotten a little too smart with it. And I'll say things like breathe, pray, glad I'm alive. But you know how confused the answer is and what I've done with it, because what people are asking at the party is, what do you do for a living? Or if they don't get a proper answer, in my case, they'll usually say, oh, you're retired. Uh-huh. Step over here and we'll have a chat, is my general reaction. And I'm bringing this to you today because it's overdue in our understanding of who we are and who we came here to be and what exactly is our spiritual purpose. So I have something that I would recommend to you, and just put up a little sign, a note to yourself, buy a bunch of stickies. You are here for a purpose and you're here on purpose. Or as the original was, you are here on purpose for a purpose. And even if you walk by that sticky every single day and then you begin to ignore it, you will find you cannot ignore it, because the instinctive, godlike, spiritual nudge is ever present and is eternal, by the way. That's why you cannot ignore it in your human fashion. And why would you want to? If you had a nudge nudging you along in a spiritual dimension or in a human dimension of what you can do to discover your purpose, or as I like to say, what you can do to polish the diamond that is your purpose internally, that you may not have given any real thought to, or maybe you gave the thought that lasted a nanosecond and said, oh, let's move on. I've got groceries to buy, people to see, places to go, all of that humanity that just kind of rushes in. And this is one of the essences of this talk. It rushes in because we think that we are our thoughts. We think that the thinking mind that we have as human beings is pretty nifty. That's what gives us our answers. That's what gives us our purpose. And I would say to you, we are not talking about that. We are talking about spiritual purpose, and then we are talking about your addressing your spiritual divine nature. And that's where I need to give you a little metaphysics. I want to give you a little metaphysics, and that is we sometimes, as human beings, in fact, in our culture in particular, we rush around serving the ego. Whatever the ego wants, whatever the ego says, whatever that thoughtful ego running all the time says, by George, that's what we're going to do. And you all know that when we have put ourselves in service to ego, we can run amok and we can create great suffering. We can also get to meetings on time, keep good notes, be spectacular in how we speak or how we give a class. Oh my goodness, they talk about you forever. That is all ego, my friends, and that is not your purpose. It's part of who you are. But our purpose is spiritual. So my first point to you all is try not to confuse the two. There's the purpose in our humanity and there's our spiritual purpose. And so you may say, well, okay, what does this spiritual purpose look like? It's all of us, both the human and the personal, wrapped up in consciousness. Oh, there's that word. Unity throws that one around big time. And I say throw around. It's a very important word. It's who we are. And spiritual consciousness is different than our consciousness as our human being self. So here I'm going to just read to you. Spiritual consciousness is the awareness of our inner essence. And that would include the soul, the heart, the higher self. Many of us know we refer to higher self many times in metaphysics as our better self, beyond our human self. And this talk, by the way, for those of you that are taking some of this in, I don't kid myself that you're taking all of it or any of it in. Humanity is very important. It's part of who we are. I, for one, feel that we don't spend near enough time on our spiritual self. Our spiritual selves need care and feeding of a spiritual nature. And we like to give them the care and feeding of our human nature because we're jolly good with the human nature, but we don't always understand, nor do we value the spiritual nature. We don't see them necessarily. We will say we do. We will say, I want to be my better self. Okay, that brings us right to that cliff. And what are you doing? Doing, and I'm going to shift that doing because it's such a human word, to being that feeds that spiritual self. I don't know. I don't live in your house. I don't live in your minds and in your hearts. Back to spiritual purpose, back to spiritual consciousness. We, unfortunately, even in our society today, we'll call people who live from their hearts feelers, almost like it's a second-rate citizenship. Oh, they're a doer. She's a feeler. What does that mean? You're a feeler. That means that if I'm in a spiritual consciousness, yes, I feel my heart, I feel my inner soul, and I wish to feed and learn and have the wisdom of both. And I don't always, frankly, Sandy, say that. I don't step forward all the time and say, yes, I pray. I like to pray. I am a feeler. I love my God, whoever that is for you. Now, do you need to stand on the corner and say that? Oh, there are some here in Washington, D.C. that would say, yes, you do. Get down there. It's a time for that. I'm not here for any of that. I'm here to ask you, what are you doing about your spiritual purpose? What are you being about your spiritual purpose? And that's part of our questions for today. And I will say to you, there are questions, but I today have a couple of things you might put in your, oh, I didn't realize I could do that. Well, here's a quote from Amina Wadud, who is a monk. And she says, the sacred begins where you awaken to your own worth. Ah, Self-worth. Oh, bummer. We've got that one all twisted up in our mental acuity. We know about self-worth. We've been to workshops. We do self-worth. We got all kind of exercises. How about the self-worth that says, go to God first? How about prayer? How about contemplation? How about silence? And so for all of you sitting there staring at me, I know you know all these words. You know from whence they come. And I would say to you, probably most of the time, you're coming at it from a thinking human perspective. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you awaken to your spiritual essence. And what does awakening mean? Awakening is one of those words that we love to use, and this was a daily word, don't you know, 3 days ago. Awaken. Living a spiritual life means an ongoing awakening to the wonders of God and to my own divinity. The mysteries of God are without limit. The more I learn, the more I grow, and the more I will discover about God and myself. And I also awaken to myself as a spiritual being. Many of us never get that far in our awakening. And awakening is a key word now I'm going to bring in here because we have gone through together, in many ways, Christmas, Easter. Those are times of preparation for greater awakening, for the awakening of your heart on a larger level, for the awakening of your divinity on a big time level. And it is from your heart and your divinity, your soul and your essence that you awaken to your own worth. And how do you do that? By discovering what is the purpose that we're here for? You and me, all of us. Why are we here? And some of you will be able to name that right away. And many of you will say, well, I thought for a long time it was this. And then, no, not so much. I think maybe I'm working on something else. And that's what we're about when we're awakening. But my friends, what I want to do just today is to say to you, when we use terms like awakening, there's a way to awaken. And here's one of the best that I know. And I say this to you because it's flat out straight from Christmas to Easter, which is one of the greatest awakenings we ever witness on our journey. All that goes into that. How many times have you read the Lenten booklet? How many times have you read the Advent booklet? How many times have you not realized that Christmas begins it and we go to Easter and then we stop and say, yep, that's it. One time per year. I got both of them. I got the booklets. I'm moving on. It doesn't work like that. And you know that on some level. Your spiritual life won't allow it to just say, that's it, we're done. You did good this year. Great, good for you, Reverend Sandy. 2025, you covered the waterfront. And you did okay starting in 2026. Really, and that's what I did. I read a couple of booklets, made a couple of talks, but is my spiritual being nurtured? And the nurturing comes from the awakened self. And here's where it couples nicely with our humanity. It's not just an awakened self, it's an awakened being. So you're getting the spiritual and you're getting the awakening. And in that, you are getting what we so as human beings must have, the doing. We don't think that unless we do, unless we plop it down and demonstrate it, look at our fifth principle, that it's going to be worth anything. Well, if you just plop down the fact that you did something nice for somebody else and then told everybody in the neighborhood about it, so what? So you did something nice for somebody else and you told everybody in the neighborhood. That is not what I'm talking about. Awakening means to be an observer to who you are and how you spiritually walk through this world. You know, in today's daily word, the answer I thought was wonderful in the affirmation, especially the way you read it, Michael. I am blessed. And then we drop down and it says, today, if someone asks you or me how I am, I will smile and respond, I am blessed. How many times do you say, I am well? Or we can also go the other route. I'm not feeling very well today. I just came from the doc and it's not good. It's looking bad. Oh, well, okay. That's a choice right there. You can start working it out there in how you're awakened. How about you start using the expression, I am blessed, when somebody asks you? And you may say to me, I don't always feel blessed. Yep, that's very human. So you make the choice. But I'm saying to you, instead of sometimes always saying, oh, I'm fine, and everyone knows that's such a milquetoast fine, wouldn't it be better if you said, I am well with gusto, with life? I say yes to life. I am well. And if you have to go and criticize yourself or take inventory as to whether you really are and your words match your demonstration, we need to go back and have a chat. Okay, you and me, because that means we're still on a very remedial level of spirituality. Okay, and I'm saying that flat out because a lot of us function that way and we forget there's a much higher way of living life, a higher consciousness, a way of observing yourself from a spiritual perspective. And now here's three things that I'm going to give to you. They all come under the heading of a new earth. And some of you I know probably are thinking, I was waiting for when we were going to get to this new heaven and new earth. Well, you see, a new earth comes from a new heaven, and you and I are, guess what? The new heaven. And you may say, well, what does that mean? That means a new heaven is a new way of being in the world. And this is what this is all about. This being our co-creation. Did I say that this was Sandy doing a talk and you're listening? Sure, she's doing a talk and you're listening, but under it is a spiritual co-creation. And please don't forget that. Because every time where two or more are gathered, there is co-creation going on. What is your spiritual purpose in that co-creation? Are you doing that spiritual work? And here's one. I'm going to give you three ways, and I love them. They come from an old book that we all used to read in ministerial school, and it's from Eckhart Tolle, and it's called A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. It was a big hit in Unity years ago, and we had classes and workshops, and then it kind of faded out of the trendiness of the time, and others took its place. I think it's one that you could put on your bookshelf along with other Eckhart Tolle if you like his material as a keeper. So what we are calling here and what I just called to you is what he is calling. Let me just look at here. I said it right. Awakened doing. All right, and the three modalities are this, and I know some of you like to write this down, and these are helpful. That's all they are, is just helpful. The first one is acceptance. The second one is enjoyment, and the third one is enthusiasm. All right, I'll back up. We'll flesh it out. Just wait for just a second here. Acceptance is when you say, in my new earth way of moving, yeah, I accept it. It is what it is. How many times have you heard that expression? Yeah, it is what it is. I accept it. I'm going to let it go at that. Bye. It's a state of consciousness for which you take no responsibility. Just let it go. Acceptance. And then you're questioning, oh, I thought we were to take responsibility for everything. No, folks. How many times did you hear the expression forgiveness or letting go? How many times has that run through the unity thread of tapestry? Acceptance is one way of being part of the new way of thinking. You don't hang on. Let go. Detach from the things that trouble you. Can you do that? Some of us can't. By the time I finish this talk, you will already be, if you're not already being, thinking about something immediately outside of what we are co-creating. We all do it. Number two is enjoyment. That is the dynamic aspect of all of this. There's no waiting to start living. Now. Live it now. And that is a big thread for Eckhart Tolle. It only happens in the minute. We've had a past, it's gone. We're having a future, hasn't arrived yet. You can bank on that past and go through all those memories and all those photograph albums. Great. Love it. But be present to what you're doing in the loving. You're not just looking back at the good old times and weren't they better than right now? And then you have the future. And that comes with expectations that are not realistic. I expect her to be there on time. I expect the birthday party to have pink cupcakes. And if they don't, boy, somebody's going to pay. Really. How about enjoying yourself in this moment? How about that? Start living and be fully present. Ooh, grab onto that one. That's a newer thought because we're not always fully present. We get distracted like little children. Except watch the little children. When they're not distracted and they're fixed on something, they are fixed. Okay? I'm not saying you want to be fixed, but could you be fully present in the moment that you're in? And the last is enthusiasm. When's the last time you were enthusiastic about something? I mean, really enthusiastic. You didn't need anybody to tell you you were enthusiastic. Or you get those people, I do sometimes when I'm enthusiastic. What did you take this morning? Or the classic, well, I want some of what you have. Really? Well, listen up. Because this is working your purpose. It's doing the spiritual work. How often, ask yourself, have I just accepted? Or how often has I accepted because it's a good thing? Let it go. How often have I enjoyed something? Really enjoyed something? When's the last time you had a laugh from the belly? I don't know. I'm asking you a question. And enthusiasm. You are enjoying the journey. Now, here, listen up. I realize what time it is. Oh, my. You're enjoying the journey. And that means everything that comes across your lane. You are enjoying, meaning not that you're having a belly laugh, not that you're fully present. You may do both. But then there's stuff that comes across our lane or our road that ain't so pretty, that ain't so fun. Where are you there? Is your enthusiasm for life, for what life is bringing you and the lesson that is coming to you in life? Are you listening? And that's the other part. And all of these have expansive parts to them. And I know we're not here for all of that. But I want to say this to you. What you also can do with our spiritual practice is, and this you will know, but do you do it enthusiastically with joy and acceptance? And that is go in the silence. What is the silence to you? You do not have to be sitting in a position or having specific music, or you don't have to walk in the most perfect meadow that you've ever been in to appreciate nature, to appreciate the silence that is a special gift of nature. You have to be fully present. You have to hear the silence. You have to feel the silence. You have to be the silence. Because when we're not silent, it's very evident that our noise expands. Look at our world. We live in one of the noisiest worlds I could ever imagine. And it's getting noisier. How about your silence? For it is in the silence, and we know this, you get marvelous wisdom. You create ideas with God and with each other. That is where the expansion of who you are becomes who we are, who becomes the world that is. And I must bring this up because I float every time I hear it. Did any of you watch the Artemis folks? Go to the moon, go to the back of the moon and come back to the earth. Those space shots, those pictures, that whole concept of what man can do. And they were very evident, all of those astronauts, in saying to us here on Earth, we love you. You're beautiful. We appreciate you. We can't wait to get home. And the moon is incredible. And the teamwork between us is spectacular. You see, that is the kind of world that is there, is ours. It belongs to us. What are we doing individually to know the wonder, the joy, the acceptance, and the enthusiasm of who we are and why we're here? I call that mighty fine developed spiritual purpose. But my friends, and not but, I think it's an and. It's not a but, Sandy. It's an and. Um, Practicing the silence, the listening that begins a developed consciousness or comes from a developed consciousness. I've asked myself that question many times. Also enlightens this new earth. And so I will close and then we will go into meditation. And when you go into meditation, have no expectation of the meditation. Just go. Go wherever your heart leads. And I finish with this. All life forms who are in a surrendered state feel their oneness with the whole, the source, the God. They embody the awkward consciousness that is changing all aspects of life on our planet right now, including nature, because life on Earth is inseparable from human consciousness that perceives and interacts with it. That would be us. That is the sense in which the meek will inherit the earth. And I say to you, the meek who inherit the earth are from the Sermon on the Mount, which is one of, if not the greatest teaching that Jesus ever gave us. And in that teaching are the Beatitudes and the Golden Rule. And in that teaching are the famous commandments of love my God with all my heart, love my fellow man and all the sentient beings of earthly existence as I am loved, the two greatest commandments. That is the sense in which Jesus affirms the meek, the humble, the full of gratitude. That is who the meek is, not our present day idea of meek. The meek are bedrock, humility, authenticity, compassion. A new species is arising on the planet. It is arising now, and you are it. And so we take those thoughts, that thinking, that preciousness of who we are into meditation. And for a short moment, as we work through and walk through this time of meditation, we simply be right here, right now, in the silence. Here and now, in these precious moments, I affirm I am one with the presence of one. Wherever I go, I declare that I am God in action. I live and move and have my very being as the presence of God. I am the presence of the divine in me as me. And I now shine the light that I am and live the life that I love. I open my inner ear to hear the voice of the divine. I am receptive and available to follow in the direction I am guided. I listen to Spirit. I am the presence of love. I am love in action. And so it is. Amen.
Song from Daniel Nehemiah, from Swing Wide the Doors. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for, and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors, you let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let this begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Reverend Sandy, that was a fantastic message. Awakening our spiritual selves. I got it on my list, and I am blessed to have heard it, and looking forward to saying that repeatedly to myself. I am blessed, and which we all are. And then for Greg, the music once again. Thank you so much. You're a treasure to our community.